Okay, so when you're asked to read a short story, you read starting at the top left. You go that way. When you read a graph in math, the same is true. You're going to read it from left to right. Today we're talking about increasing, decreasing, and constant function values. So use a marker, highlighter, or colored pencil and trace from left to right any intervals on which the graph is increasing, decreasing, and constant.
Wow.
Okay, so decreasing means what is happening from left to right? Going down from left to right, which happens right here. Not there, but it also happens right here, yes? Okay, the middle one is asking about increasing, the last one is asking about constant. So go ahead and do that real quick. All right, that's pretty easy. I can go to the next one. No, I did that. Here we go. Okay, so it says identify the intervals of values along the x-axis for the portion of the graph that's highlighted. So you're using your interval notation, identifying your interval of values for what we highlighted. So for decreasing, we said everything between -5 and -3. And, or union, what number to what number? Is that 4 and 6? Yes.
Everything has a bracket.
We're going to put it in parentheses. I'll explain why. So you're going to use parentheses, not brackets. Then do the same thing for increasing and the same thing for constant. Okay, so increasing was between -3 and 0. Constant is between 0 and 4. Okay, and we're using parentheses instead of brackets. Anybody know why? I didn't think you would, okay. All right, so at each point here, so like at -3, what happens on my graph? It's changing. It's not decreasing at -3. At -3, it's changing to be increasing. So you don't include that when you're talking about your domain there because it's not included. The endpoints are not included in that increasing, decreasing, or constant. then it says, complete the table below describing numerically and graphically what is true about a function when it's increasing, decreasing, or constant, okay? So when it's increasing, what's happening to your x values? From left to right. Your x values are increasing, right? What's happening to your y values? They're also increasing. Okay, when your graph is decreasing, what's happening to your x values? They're still increasing, they're still going left to right, but your y values are going to decrease. And then what about when it's constant? What's happening to your x values? X values are still increasing, but what about the y values? They don't change, they're constant. Okay, well, what about the graph when it's increasing? What's happening from left to right? Going up. Goes up from left to right. When it's decreasing, what's happening from left to right? Down from left to right. And when it's constant, it stays the same. It doesn't change. Okay, on the back of this page, I'm going to give you like 3 minutes to work with your neighbor that you checked your homework with earlier. And I want you to answer those 4 questions up at the top. Alright, here we go. Just trying to give you some homework time. Okay, so which variable x or y does the function notation f of x represent? Y. Okay, if y equals 0 for a given point on a graph, where is that point located? What? Somebody said it. It's on the x-axis. If y is greater than 0 for a given point on a graph, where is that point located? On the x-axis, above it, or below it? Above it, because it's greater than. If f of x is less than 0 for a given point on a graph, where is that point located? Below the x-axis. Okay, so it says use a marker, highlighter, or colored pencil and trace from left to right any values or intervals on which the graph of f of x equals 0, is greater than 0, or is less than 0. So we said when it equals 0, it's where? On the x-axis. So where does that happen with this weird graph? -3, 0, and at 6, right? Where is it greater than,
-1.
yep, between -3 and 0, wherever it's above the axis, right? All the way up to 5, 6, sorry. Okay, but are we gonna include -3, 0, and 6? No. You could put like an open circle. Which means that f of x is less than 0 on the far left and the far right. So over here and over here. Okay, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and identify the x values. Those boxes underneath. Right, so we said your y values equal 0, when x is -3, 0, and 6. Greater than 0, between -3 and 0, and between 0 and 6. We have to clarify that we're not including that 0. And then it is less than 0, between -5 and -3, and 6 and 7. Why do we include -5 and 7 this time? Why do we have brackets? Because it's a value. Yep, it's a closed circle. It's included because it's below. Like this doesn't say it's increasing or decreasing. It's just saying the value is less than 0, which is true at those two endpoints, right? So when you're talking about positive, negative, or 0, you're going to use both parentheses and brackets depending on if your value is included or not. Okay, so just like last time, we're going to complete the table describing numerically and graphically what's true about a function when it's greater than 0, less than 0, equal to 0. Although it says describe the x and y values, we're just going to describe the y values. So what do your y values look like when f of x is greater than 0? Yep, they're positive, they're greater than 0. because f of x just means y. So when f of x is less than 0, y is less than 0. And when f of x equals 0, y equals 0. Okay, and then where is your graph when y is greater than 0? Above the x-axis. When it's less than 0, it's below the x-axis. Where is it when it equals 0? On the x-axis. This next page of notes has these crazy graphs like we had last time. So you just have to pay attention if you're talking about f of x, which is the dashed line, and g of x, which is the solid line. Okay, so I'm going to do the first couple with you, and then I'll let you work the rest on your own. So number 1 says the intervals of x such that g of x is increasing. Okay, g of x is the solid one. Okay, so the way that I do this is I'll take a highlighter or a pencil or something and I'll just highlight where that one is increasing, and then I'll go back and try to do the domain. You can do it all at once. You don't have to highlight if you don't want to. Okay? But for g of x to be increasing, going up from left to right, it's not right here, that's going down. Still going to go up from left to right here. So I'm going to have two pieces of this that are increasing. So I would say from -6 to 3 and from 9 to 11. Am I going to include the endpoints? No. Not for increasing and decreasing. I'm going to say -6 up to 3. For the union, this is number 1, by the way. And 9 to 11. Okay, number 2, the intervals of x such that g of x is decreasing. G of x is still the solid one, so I'm going to go through and it's decreasing right there, in between those two that I just did, right? Again, we're not including the endpoint, because we're talking increasing, decreasing, constant. So it's going to be decreasing between 4 and 9? No. 3. Thank you. 3 and 9. Okay, go ahead and do those next few. So I'm going to put the answers up here so you can check them. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Questions on those, increasing, decreasing? You missed, you don't understand why? Okay, are you ready for the rest, or do you need a couple more minutes? You ready for the rest? Yes or no? Okay, lots of yeses. Here we go. So that is all the notes we're doing today. Okay, so you have the rest of class to do homework number 11, or day number 11 homework, sorry, and free response 9 and 10. I don't think day 11 homework will take you the whole time, because it's not super long. So if you want to turn that in before you leave, that'd be fantastic, because then I can go ahead and grade it over the weekend. Then you have 2 free response questions. As a reminder, next class period we have a quiz. Okay? So the best thing to do would be to look at your notes and your homework. Probably what I will do is if you want to come by on Monday and pick up your homework, that way you have it to study, you're welcome to do that. If you would rather me scan it and email it to you, send me a reminder or an email, and I would gladly do it. Okay, so just let me know what you need to study. So from here on out, that's what we're doing today. Finishing the homework, studying for the quiz. You can talk to each other and work together, that's allowed.